Hey everyone, MKBHD here. Today we're diving into some groundbreaking news in the tech world. Big news in the tech world today. Google has announced a major shift in how it develops Android, and it's something that could change the landscape of mobile technology as we know it. Google is making a major change to how it develops Android. This isn't just a minor tweak or an incremental update, it's a fundamental shift in their approach. This is a pretty big deal, so let's break it down. Essentially, Google is moving the development of Android behind the scenes. What does that mean for us? Well, let's explore. The biggest change? Android development is moving behind the scenes. This means that a lot of the development work that used to be visible to the public will now be done internally at Google. It's going to be done internally at Google from now on. This internalization aims to streamline the development process, making it more efficient and cohesive. This means we won't see as much of the development process in real time. For developers and tech enthusiasts who love to follow every update, this might feel like a big shift. This might seem like a big shift, and it is. But it's important to understand why Google is making this move. But don't worry, it's not as drastic as it sounds. The core of Android will remain the same, and Google assures us that this change will lead to better, more polished updates. Android is still going to be open source. This means that developers will still have access to the source code, and the community can continue to contribute and innovate. More on that in a bit. For now, just know that Google is streamlining how it builds Android. This could lead to faster updates and a more unified experience across devices. For now, just know that Google is streamlining how it builds Android. This new approach is expected to make the development process more efficient and cohesive. This will have some interesting effects on developers and phone makers. They might need to adapt to the new workflow, but it could also mean more consistent and reliable updates. But for us regular users, things should feel pretty much the same. The goal is to enhance the overall user experience without causing any disruption. Okay, so I just said Android is staying open source. What does that actually mean? Let's dive a bit deeper. Basically, even though Google is developing Android internally, they're still going to release the source code to the public. This is huge. It means anyone can still see how Android is made, tinker with it, and even use it to build their own versions. This openness fosters a community of developers who can contribute to the platform, find bugs, and even suggest new features. This is a core part of what makes Android special. The open source nature of Android has allowed it to become the most widely used mobile operating system in the world. It's what allows for so much customization and innovation. Users can personalize their devices to an extent that is unparalleled by other operating systems. Google knows this, and they're committed to keeping Android open. This commitment ensures that the platform remains flexible and adaptable to new technologies and user needs. So, while we won't see every little step of the development process anymore, the end result will still be available for everyone to see and use. This transparency is crucial for trust and collaboration in the tech community. So why is Google doing this? Why fix what isn't broken, right? Well, there are a few reasons. First, Google wants to make Android development smoother and faster. Right now there's a lot of back and forth between internal Google development and the public stuff. This new system simplifies things. Second, it gives Google more control over the platform. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. It means they can implement new features and security updates more quickly and efficiently. Finally, it streamlines things for phone manufacturers like Samsung, OnePlus, and others. They'll have a clearer picture of what's coming down the pipeline and can optimize their devices accordingly. Section 4. Benefits for all. Speaking of phone makers, let's talk about the benefits of this change. For companies like Samsung, it means they can work more closely with Google during the development process. This leads to better integration of hardware and software. For developers, it means they can focus on building awesome apps without having to worry about constantly changing code in the public branches of Android. And for users, well, you might not notice much of a difference at first, but over time, these changes should lead to a more stable, secure, and feature-rich Android experience. Section 5. A look back. This move by Google isn't entirely out of the blue. If you've been following Android for a while, you'll know that Google has been gradually moving more and more features into closed-source components. Think about things like Google Play services and other core Google apps. These are already developed and updated separately from the main Android releases. This new change is basically an extension of that trend. It's about streamlining development and giving Google more control over its ecosystem. Section 6. What's impacted? So, what parts of Android are actually moving to this internal development model? Well, a lot of it already was, to be honest. But this change will bring things like Bluetooth development, the kernel, which is like the heart of the operating system, and other core components under the same roof. This makes sense from a logistical standpoint. It keeps everything centralized and makes it easier for Google to maintain consistency across the entire platform. Section 7. The other side. In this section we delve into the less talked about aspects of the recent changes. While the benefits are often highlighted, it's crucial to also consider the potential drawbacks and challenges that may arise. Now, it wouldn't be fair to talk about this change without mentioning the potential downsides. Every major shift comes with its own set of challenges, and this one is no different. It's important to weigh both the pros and cons to get a balanced view. The biggest concern is transparency. When development happens behind closed doors, it becomes difficult for the community to stay informed. This lack of transparency can lead to misunderstandings and mistrust. With development happening behind closed doors, we won't have as much insight into what Google is working on. This secrecy can create a barrier between developers and the company, making collaboration more challenging. This could make it harder to spot potential issues or provide feedback early on. Early feedback is crucial for catching bugs and improving the overall quality of the product. Without it, the final product may suffer. There's also the risk that Google could use this increased control to push its own services and products more aggressively. This could stifle competition and innovation, as smaller developers might find it harder to compete. However, it's important to remember that Google has a vested interest in keeping Android open and developer-friendly. The open nature of Android has been one of its biggest strengths, attracting a large and diverse developer community. After all, that's what's made it so successful in the first place. The collaborative spirit and openness have driven innovation and growth, benefiting both Google and the wider tech community. So, while there are valid concerns, it's too early to say how this will all play out. The future is uncertain and much will depend on how Google manages this transition and addresses the community's concerns. Only time will tell what the long-term impact of this change will be. As we move forward, it's essential to stay informed and engaged, keeping a close eye on developments and advocating for transparency and collaboration.